California is in crisis. Crime is out of control. The streets are filled with chaos, and yet TV networks like NBC and ABC want you to believe that everything is fine. They downplay, cover up, and manipulate the truth, while the people of California are left to suffer.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. I think he's better than he's ever been. I undersold him when I said he was cogent.
Why aren't the crime statistics soaring on paper? It's not because crime isn't happening. It's because people have given up. Why would you call the police to report something like your phone being stolen when you know they won't do anything about it? This rich farce, where wealthy, entitled, privileged journalists lie to our faces, is simply unacceptable. It feels like we are trapped in an alternate reality every time Governor Newsom enacts a new policy that destroys more of California. This time, he's managed to pass a new law that makes asking for identification during the presidential election illegal. You need ID to buy a pack of cigarettes, a six-pack of beer. You need ID to get into a nightclub. And you need ID to receive welfare from the government as a migrant. And yet somehow you don't need ID to vote for the American president. In what world are we in, where this possibly makes sense if your goal isn't to have illegal migrants vote for you? Are we really supposed to believe that the rights of the very few voters without ID should outweigh the risk of enabling tens of millions of illegal migrants to cheat in our elections? Are people really too blind to see the damage he's already done? Or are they just too blissfully unaware of what's really going on because they live in gated mansions where all the increased crime doesn't affect their lives? If people are too stupid to help themselves and insist on empowering the very people who take advantage of them, can you really blame the politicians for doing it? Aren't they just technically answering the desires of their constituents? One could argue that the politicians are simply doing their jobs. After all, they've always manipulated the truth for political gain. But never has it been so blatantly obvious, so biased toward an ideology that benefits only the richest, most perverted people in our society. Why are we surprised that the most evil, corrupt people are politicians who enjoy lying and taking advantage of us? We have a chance this November to take our country back, to tell the world that we will not follow in the footsteps of countries that allowed millions of criminal migrants to overrun their cities. Europe's mistakes are right in front of us, but instead of learning from them, our leaders are pushing the same disastrous policies. It should be clear to everyone by now that a subset of our population is corrupt, and their values are at odds with what made America great. Just look at Generation Z marching in support of terrorism on our streets. This is what a generation born of a failed education system looks like. One that taught them to hate their country and turn against their own people. And it's truly reprehensible to see Ivy League educated elites blaming the Jews for our country's problems, while their rich, privileged parents funded the very policies that created this mess. It's not the working class, it's the elites, the wealthy, who pushed for mass migration and introduced woke ideology into our society. This is no longer about left or right. It's about survival. It's about protecting our society, our families, and our future. Every person who voted for or supported these radical agendas, allowing women's prisons, allowing crime to spiral out of control, should have their motives exposed. We must stand up and demand accountability. This November is our chance.